Hey everyone. Just give us 1 second. We're gonna be connecting Instagram in here. Oh, there we go. Let's come on. Nice. Yay! We're doing live again. I've kind of given up on those lives because the platform has changed so much and it's just not what it used to be. So I'm hopefully this time around when you are here and we're talking about castor oil,
Yeah.
it's gonna be exciting. So let me pose the topic for today. We're gonna be talking about nourishing your scalp in order to enjoy really healthy, beautiful hair. And with me today, I've got Dr. Marisol Tejero, who's also my very dear personal friend. And um, and I love her products. And we've worked together for a very long time. And she is back with even more cool applications of castor oil. Many of you know it, like how you can do the liver packs. Many of you have known her for doing like the thyroid packs, right? And now we want to talk about hair because hair is something that is changing so quickly when it comes to hormonal changes. And that's what this community is all about, right? So, hello, how are
Hello.
you?
I'm so good. I love talking with you. It's so good. I feel like I'm at your house. It's very
So let's start off with maybe just for those of you maybe who are not super familiar with why castor oil
Yeah.
and this role in the hair. Can I just say one thing before we dive in? Like, I think one of the big moments was when you and I went to this botany conference together, and there was this Russian lady who joined us in a lunch table.
Yeah.
And she was like, everybody's asking each other, so what do you do? And you said you do castor oil. And this woman is like, oh my God, in Russia, this is what we use for hair. And so, yeah, so it kind of, and then I suddenly remembered that in Poland, we do the same thing with hair
Yes.
when it comes to like, somebody who doesn't have very healthy looking hair. So that's really what we want to talk about today. But the thing that's I think was really interesting, what you brought up when we started talking about promoting your hair pack to my community, is the importance of the scalp
Yeah.
and not just the hair itself. And for me, as a gardener and a avid herbalist and loving botany, to me,
Yeah.
it's like you want to have nice hair. Like, if you want to have a beautiful garden, you got to take care of the soil, period, right?
Okay.
You nourish the soil, you get beautiful plants. If you just focus on the plant, it's never going to be sustainable. So can you talk to us a little bit more about the whole scalp thing? What's the big deal about that?
Yeah, well, the reality is that, you can buy so many different products that are like hair washes and hair treatments and like there's a variety of them. There's multiple companies. Olaplex is one which has like, hair bonding system and so many of them are so very expensive. And the reality is hair fixing your hair and supporting your hair health throughout hormonal changes because that's in reality when things really start to like tweak and hormonal changes, of course, yes, perimenopause and menopause, like you and I are experiencing that. Like I'm in perimenopause, you're in menopause. And of course, you've noticed my hair change. I've noticed my hair change. However, this also happens like postpartum. It can happen like during fertile times. It can also happen during menarche and puberty. So it's just very common during any kind of hormonal shift where there's changes to our hair. And one of the big reasons is that, the scalp changes and our environment and our body changes. And so the first place to start is always with the root cause. And I love that because it's kind of a pun, because really we want to go to the root first before looking at the hair, or ideally a treatment or strategy that does both, right? That is nourishing the scalp first and foremost, and then nourishing the hair, providing it with essential fats, giving it good nourishment, hydration, moisturization, the same thing that you would do with the skin and the nails. Because if you've ever seen any kind of supplement or product that's for beauty, they all say the same thing: hair, skin, and nails. Why? Well, because they're the same matrix. They come from the same original tissue. And so you treat all three of them very similarly. And the cool thing is that castor oil extends to be used in the hair, in the scalp, in the skin, but also the nails too. So that's one of the reasons why, we've got to focus on the scalp first because it's the root of all the problems. And the other thing is that I'm a gardener too, and we all know that, you could be, if you want to spend your time just like pulling off dead leaves and pulling off dead things, you can absolutely do that. But if you really want to get to the root of it, you got to go down to the ground. That's it. So it begins with always the root and always the scalp. And I'm really happy that I see these days a lot more conversation about the scalp health, because
Yeah.
before it was just about hair
The
and
hair.
cleaning
Yeah.
your hair. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, you guys, we actually have on social media, we posted today the how-to video that is, many of you are commenting on it already, and how to apply the castor oil into your hair. And Dr. Marisol did that for me in my house, and we were doing that just to demo and how to do it. Um, the truth of the matter is that many of you are experiencing hair loss. Actually, let me ask you guys, who here has experienced a hair change
Right.
with hormonal changes? Like as you entering the perimenopause, menopause, postmenopausal, I certainly have. And being on thyroid meds has helped me. Eating sea buckthorn seeds and berries have been helping me a ton as well. Just got like this beautiful lush color. And then now I've recently also added the castor oil to the scalp, and doing this. And I just posted on my stories today, like waking up to Greaseland. Welcome
Oh
to
yeah. Oh
Greaseland.
yeah. You
But and but you do what you're gonna do what you're gonna do. And I
yeah.
love that. I love the I call it the
Wrap.
KKK hut.
Oh my God, I know. It definitely like it's a turban wrap, right? So it's a little bit off.
It's in my van because I'm actually leaving for the weekend right after this call. So I actually packed it in it's my van right now. Do you have that hoodie handy?
Oh yeah, of course I do. Yeah. So
Oh,
it's
there
very.
you go. There you go. I mean, you tell me, it does not look like a KKK thing.
Oh no, yeah. When you actually end up wrapping it up, it can absolutely look a little bit odd, or you do it that way, or if you actually there's two ways that you can do it, and when you do it like that, it's definitely not the most flattering. I know, but it's not meant for that. It true. What this wrap is. See, a lot of people question this. They're always like, well, why do I need a wrap? Can't I just put like castor oil in my hair and my roots and my scalp, and then it's going to achieve the same purpose? Well, it's very, very similar to the castor oil pack on the liver or the thyroid. You want to draw attention to the area, but even more so, having the pack actually serves as a heat source, a natural heat source. Your head actually is a source, like all of your, if you've ever heard someone, if you live in a winter climate, like just, cover your head and you'll stay warmer. That's
Yeah.
because the heat escapes from the head. And so if you're doing a hair treatment, wrapping it up in this hair wrap specifically, because this one is made with an outside shell that's impermeable, so the castor oil doesn't go anywhere, and an inner organic cotton layer. And then what this actually does is it retains all the heat naturally, and you end up having something very similar to what I know I used to use, and so many of us have used, especially if you're in perimenopause and menopause, is the Alberto VO5 hot oil hair treatments. And which was like, you would take a little tube of oil and you dump it into like hot water, and then you'd put it on your scalp and it'd be heated. Now you could heat castor oil, sure, but it's much, much better to have the oil natural on your head and then apply the wrap and allow it to naturally like be a heatless hot oil treatment, which I think is great. And that's why, but there's also a caution and a warning with that. I find that I cannot use the wrap longer than an hour because my head just gets hot. Right.
Really?
And that, oh yeah. Like it's like in an hour and I'm like, oh, I need to take it off. So I take it off. And that's why like people might ask me, oh, can I wear it overnight? I'm like, I don't recommend it. I think the best thing to do is just wear it max an hour. You just need to have that initial intake of that castor oil into the scalp to nourish.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that we are talking about today is couple of things. Actually, let me just mention this for those of you who might be dropping off, and you're just here for a short minute. We are having just this incredible discount that we got from Dr. Marisol that we're passing on to you. So I'm just going to drop it in here. It's 25% off, you guys, for the hair pack.
Yeah.
That's like, this is as good as Black Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We never do that. We never do 25% off. And frankly, it's free. It's because you're my friend. So take advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And so I will post the link right here. And so that for those of you who are going to be wanting to look into something like that, then take a look at that, because this is, I think, a really great starting point. Or different, like if you had the liver pack, you had the thyroid pack, this is just a great addition. It does come with the applicator and the hoodie.
Yeah.
That is super helpful.
Yeah. And it's
So
not something that you do every day, which is nice. So when you're actually just nourishing the scalp and the hair and the root, you really only need to do it once a week. That's especially in cases of not severe hair loss or severe hair thinning. If it's more severe, you probably need more nourishment and more hydration. And so then typically it's recommended to do like 2 times a week. So depending on where you're at, that's what you decide to do.
So let's talk about the first cause of hair loss, and that is thyroid, low thyroid function. Do you want to talk about this one, or you want me to cover it?
I mean, thyroid is just such an important, it's a maker of your metabolism, right? And it's what makes everything grow, makes everything function well. And therefore, if your thyroid is inhibited, or if it's, underactive, or you have an and especially worse in cases of autoimmune like Hashimoto's thyroiditis, there's even more autoimmune activity and reactivity. And the hair follicle is actually very, very susceptible in patients that have thyroid issues, and again, worse in Hashimoto's. So it really basically just affects its growth. And that's why you really have to be cognizant of it. There's different molecules in the hair stem and what nourishes the root, which are like basically connected to thyroid hormone. And so that's why it's so specifically related to thyroid. So it's just very, very interesting, I find, whenever we talk about thyroid. But thyroid is number one. You can elaborate on it more, but to me, like, thyroid is number one because it grows things. And so if you want things to grow, then your thyroid needs to be in balance.
Yeah. And the biggest, there's three times in life that women experience low thyroid function. The first one is oftentimes is postpartum. It's probably because of the stress the woman, a woman goes through, right? Of having a baby, delivering the baby. And then the second one is gonna be typically after like something really stressful that has happened. And the third group is the women going through perimenopause, menopause. That's where the thyroid really starts tanking. And I've had Hashimoto since 2008, so that's when I was diagnosed. I think I've had it much longer than that. And I did not have to be on medication for the longest time until I hit menopause. And now in post-menopause, I've only been on thyroid meds for the past year. It made a huge difference in my energy, cognition, hair quality. I don't lose hair anymore. It's still slow with the regrowth, so I'm gonna be taking care of my scalp from now moving on. But one thing I want to just kind of a cautionary tale about the thyroid issue, because many of you might be thinking here, my doctor told me that my thyroid is fine. Like, I had my labs done and it's fine, right? And so let's just spend like the next couple of minutes just talking about this. Is one of the real problems in the diagnostics area, where we are told that everything is fine, even though your symptoms are like, I'm losing hair, my nails are cracking, I'm also like losing my eyebrows, I'm putting on weight for no good reason, I'm feeling extremely lethargic, I can't get out of bed, I'm constipated, I'm feeling really cold, everybody is wearing a t-shirt while I'm sitting with a sweater on the beach, right? My hands are always cold.
Dry shins is a huge one. Practice, like, it looks like a desert. I'm like, ooh,
especially, and it's so fascinating, the sheens. Like, if you have dryness on your sheens, that's like a thyroid 101.
Huge.
Right? And so depression, anxiety, I had anxiety when I had thyroid. Like, I never was an anxious person, and suddenly I remember with my first anxiety attack. So those are some of this. Now, if you're taking a lot of those, you're like, oh my God, that's me, and my doctor told me everything is fine. I really want to urge you to just get educated on what to test for. You should get a complete set of tests, which is 5 things you want to test for, not just TSH and T4, but also free T3, and then the antibodies that you want to measure, right? And then the second trick is, even if you've had those done, make sure that the ranges are within functional ranges, which is like, that's for healthy people, and not the ranges that the labs are giving you, right? So okay.
And like, for me in clinical practice, I mandated to all my patients yearly, they had to do a physical exam. And a lot of my thyroid, and this is the problem I think with our medical system now, is that a lot of doctors don't do physical exam. Because if you're doing physical exam, You can notice this in women. You can notice the dry shins. You can notice the lateral, like eyebrow thinning. You notice their hair just isn't as thick as it should be.
And then
Like
you
you,
can just do an ultrasound too, just to
oh
see
yeah,
all of that, right?
nodules consistently like often come with a patient who happens to have any type of thyroid, whether it's hypo, hyper, Hashimoto's, Graves, any of the thyroid conditions. You'll find nodules often. And I mean, I was shocked when, like at the beginning of my practice, I wasn't testing everybody for the entire panel. I just do TSH and T4, and then I started realizing that, oh my God, the majority of my patients are actually having symptoms that I'm recognizing on physical exam. And then I started testing across the board, all of my mainly women, and then sometimes men if they showed physical signs of it. And honestly, it was somewhere between like 90 to 90. It was an insane amount of women who had underlying undiagnosed Hashimoto's disease. So it's actually a big deal. Like it's
Yeah.
huge. And we just don't realize it. Yeah.
Yeah, and women are we are the primary, unfortunate
Yes.
demographic for this. Okay, let's talk about the
Second.
cause number 2, which is high or low estrogen levels. One second, there's just want to take one question. Somebody's asking about what type of castor oil are we talking about here? I see you can get pure, cold press, etc.
Yes.
Do you want to just mention that?
Yeah, so Queen of the Thrones, our what we're known for is the high quality and our reliability in terms of everything that we produce. And so our castor oil is number one, is third party tested. So, and it's not just tested one time. We actually test it lots of times. We test it before we get it, we test it once we receive it, we test it before we even bottle it, just to make sure everything is still okay, because in between in that time things could change, right? If it's stored and it's not good. But we tested because I want to ensure the purity, because for me, I mean, I'm a huge user of castor oil in everything, but then also my friends, my family, like you're all people who I'm very concerned about, and I want to make sure that you all get the good stuff. So ours check marks all the boxes: pure, it's cold pressed, it's hexane free, third party tested. We also functionally tested, because castor oil is no different. Analyzing castor oil is no different than analyzing the labs that the human gets, because you've got to look at them all together. And so I look at castor oil all together with every lab report we receive, because there's components of that castor oil that people don't know about. But I'm looking for a high quality iodine level within castor oil, because that's one of the reasons why women, I feel, enjoy castor oil a lot in their wellness practice, because it supports nutrients that they need to support their body to function better. So there's lots that I'm looking for, lots of markers for oxidation, and I check every single batch to make sure that it's excellent, and I curate every single oil that you receive. So
And I
it's
also like the fact that you're selling them in glass bottles, even though it costs you an arm and a leg to ship that damn thing in bottles. It would have you could have saved yourself so much money with those plastic bottles.
Yeah.
And also, just one word of caution here, because castor oil has kind of exploded in the past few years, and there's a lot of copycats out there in the market.
Yes.
So just be very cautious where you're buying it from. And and it's unfortunate, but like I really hope to see you in more retail stores, all the Whole Foods and all the natural health food stores. Some of them carry you already, some don't. We still sell the castor oil in plastic, and I'm like, what's up with that, you guys? Like,
I know.
do you not know better? So
I know.
and it's important, right? Like if you think about it, you guys, like oil is like, when you have, like when you put, let's say, tomato sauce, right, into like a plastic container, right, all of that penetrates plastic, and so and the same thing, the plastic gets into the food as well, and oil can also extract some of that into its substance. So all right, let's talk about the hair cause number. Sorry.
One other thing, castor oil also too is the master carrier oil, and it's even more important for castor oil. All your oils should always be in glass ideally, but it's even more important because castor oil, if you do an experiment and compare like olive oil and you put like pepper in it and you start to like swish them around, the pepper in the olive oil will fall, and the pepper in the castor oil will stay maintained in the castor oil. It's insane how cool it is. And that's because it's a master carrier oil. So it's going to carry out of the plastic everything. So our promise is our castor oil never sits in plastic.
Right. Yeah. Nice. So let's talk about hair loss, cause number 2, which is high or low estrogen levels.
Yeah. So estrogen is what it's what makes us beautiful, right? It helps our skin, it helps our hair. It you see that glow of women like post pregnancy when estrogen starts to come back, or even during pregnancy, because their estrogen and progesterone levels are so high and they look so beautiful and gorgeous and glowing. And it's part of it, right? And so estrogen is really what gives us our glow. And as we move into, perimenopause, menopause, or even other reasons why we're losing our estrogen, maybe we're not eating a diet that's high enough in fat, we're not getting the right nourishment. Well, then once our estrogen starts to drop, well, we also see the aspects of our beauty drop as well too. Our skin consistency, our hair, our nails, everything starts to drop. And the reality is not only high estrogen that's a problem, it's also low estrogen that's a problem. But low estrogen, when it becomes a problem, is basically because of how it's related to progesterone, which is what balances it out. So if estrogen is low, but progesterone is even lower and they're not in good relative balance, then your estrogen will still be considered like lower. So we have to be really, really careful about that. And so you just want to watch everything in the body ultimately needs to be in balance in order to maintain homeostasis. So you don't want anything too high or too low. It's the Goldilocks rule, right? I don't want the bed too big, too small, has to be just right.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's take a quick question here. Lilia is asking, lots rings true to me. Needs to jump into this. Do hair color products get in the way with this hair treatment?
No, not necessarily. I mean, ideally, you look for more natural options for hair color, and there's quite a few of them these days now available at the health food store, or right, or even henna. I'm a big fan of henna as well too. People choose to color their hair. It won't affect it. The only thing is that it might not last as long as your hair color. Word of a warning, because castor oil, like, it cleans things. It's cleansing for the face. It's cleansing for the hair. But where you're focusing the castor oil is not necessarily on the hair. You're focusing it on the roots and the scalp, because that's where the work needs to get done. And
Yeah.
so typically you're fine with your hair coloring, but the recommendation would be to see if you can start to like transition over to like a more natural colored hair, or even look into transitioning into going gray, like naturally. I know I'm doing it too. Like, you can see my little
Yeah.
gray.
Well,
I
yours is like you're still a baby. Like, I'm getting really white hair. But you know what? I used to color my hair my whole life, and now I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it be and fall in love with it just the way it is. And
exactly. Yeah.
totally,
Yeah. And
totally. But it's a transition for sure. It doesn't happen overnight. I
yeah.
will be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody told me that 5 years ago that I'm gonna be coloring my hair, I'd be like, what? No
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
I stopped coloring my hair at 26 when I entered into college. I haven't dyed it since. And I'm happy I did that shift, right? Because now as I'm going gray, it's just naturally just going gray. So that's pretty easy.
So let's talk about hair loss number 3, which is a really important one: heavy metals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So heavy metals, it's really, the thing is, the problem with heavy metals is they are everywhere. You're getting them in rice. Like, if you're eating brown rice, you're getting arsenic and lead often. Like, there's high levels found in rice. They're everywhere in our environment. There's still remnants of like leaded gasoline from the 1980s in our air. You know, like, we just can't get away from the heavy metals. So our best reaction is to make sure that our body is optimized in all of its cleaning processes. And the biggest problem with heavy metals is basically that they block so many different receptors. They block zinc, a nutrient required for good, healthy hair. They block so many different things that is the problem with it. And in fact, heavy metals also have an impact on your estrogen levels, on your thyroid, and even our reason number 4, which is coming soon. So heavy metals just tend to be like a really big, bad root problem when it comes to hair loss and hair thinning.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite ways of getting it diagnosed?
Honestly, what I used to do in clinical practice was a lot of chelation therapy with EDTA. So we would do a provocation challenge. This is something you need to do with a practitioner. So we would basically give a dose of EDTA. We would test the urine, and then we would do IVs in between, and we would give another dose of EDTA and see the difference in between, in order to basically just see like what is there like resting state of heavy metals in their body. And then when we provoke it with like EDTA, which chelates and takes it out, what happens with the levels of heavy metals? So that's one way. I'm also not opposed to hair mineral testing. Like I think that's really important because it can also give you like a day-to-day. Is it super accurate? Maybe not super accurate, but it's still a very good way to see levels of things that are
Yes.
occurring in your
I
body.
see this as a sort of like yet another data point, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And for heavy metals, you really want to work with someone else, someone who's like truly, you don't want to DIY that stuff. Like you really want to get guidance for that, because especially when you're working with binders, you really need to know what you're doing. So and the reason why we're talking about these hair loss causes here, you guys, is that it's just to acknowledge that hair depends on so many other factors than just one thing. Like, every time I say hair loss and people go, just take biotin. I'm like, really? That's just so simplistic. And so it's such an incomplete narrative, right? But at the same time, when you correct your hair loss, it's a lot of other things are gonna start feeling better in your life as well, right? If you, for example, correct low estrogen, right, most likely your memory is gonna return, your strength is gonna return, mood is gonna stabilize, you're gonna sleep better, so there's so many. I feel like hair is such a great way of an indicator of something isn't quite right?
Yeah.
And we want to fix it because it's like the beauty aspect, and we all want to look beautiful.
Right.
But at the same time, you get so many other benefits from it. So there is one comment, and I'm not sure if we are allowed to say that here, but I'll just read it and I'll leave it to you how you want to handle that. This is somebody on Instagram saying, I have this castor oil and I've been using it for my skin tags. I removed 2 so far, working on a few more.
Yeah. I mean, castor oil, there's so many things that people say about them. Unfortunately, I wish I was more liberal to be able to speak about it. But with castor oil, you really just need to try it and see what it does for you.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do want to preface, because you had a really good like leeway into that, is that I do want people to know that, castor oil isn't the only thing. And it's not a hair grow miracle. But what it is, it's nourishing, it's hydrating, it supports the scalp, it allows your body to do what it's meant to do. Like we're meant to look beautiful, we're meant to feel good in our bodies. And castor oil is just a vehicle that supports that. So it's not the fix all end all, but it does do some pretty amazing things. And I'm always impressed with castor oil. I learned something new. I've been working with castor oil for over 20 years now, and I still learn something new every day. Like I can't even believe it. I'm like, how do I learn more about this magical oil? Like it's insane.
Yeah. And so that you guys also know, like whatever you're posting here, we can't really comment on the medical benefits of that oil. So we can only talk about the cosmetic benefits. So there is the issue here. So, okay. Let's talk about the last hair loss cause, which is number 5, malabsorption. That's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bottom line, if you are not absorbing, you're missing all of the minerals, you're missing everything in your body, the fats, the minerals that support your hormones, support your hair growth, support absolutely your body defending itself from heavy metals and being able to detoxify itself from heavy metals. It also, malabsorption can be very much impacted by a unhealthy gut microbiome and yeast. All of these things will impact the way that you absorb. And the people used to say you are what you eat, but it's not that. It's like you are what you absorb, what you digest and what you absorb. If you don't absorb it, whatever, it's not worth it to you. And so many of us are spending or what are 200 and some dollars, the whole paycheck at Whole Foods in one bag. And like we want to absorb it. That's the bottom line. So for me, and I know for you, when I was at your house like a few weeks ago, every meal, like we're doing digestive enzymes, right? And it's not only digestive enzymes, but we're also doing a very important one, which is called HCl and pepsin, which is stomach acid, because as we age, we lose stomach acid. And when you start to lose stomach acid, you start to lose the ability to absorb your minerals. And this is key because minerals support hair. Zinc, there's so many minerals that are supportive of hair. Selenium, if it's supporting your thyroid, it's also supporting your hair growth. Right? Magnesium, your hormones, everything. All these things are necessary for good hair. And so if you're not absorbing the minerals well, and one of the biggest problems that's noted with people who are taking things like proton pump inhibitors or acid reflux like reducers, it basically turns off their stomach acid. They're not absorbing their minerals. So oftentimes, they move into their older ages and they have issues with osteoporosis, etc. So this is why stomach acid is super, super important. I think it's like an absolute necessity for everybody, especially as we age and especially women, is stomach acid and digestive enzymes so that we absorb properly and that we're absorbing those minerals that we need so much.
So, just on that note, how do you know you have a low stomach acid, right? There's a few indicators. One of it is like people tend to have bad breath.
Yeah.
Uh, that's one indicator. Another one is you go to the bathroom, look at your poop. If you see big food particles in your poop, it's an indicator that you are not, like you said, digesting and absorbing all that. No, I'm not talking here about like carrot
Or
kernels
corn. Right. Yeah.
corn. Yeah, I'm talking about like carrot. We should have been, pieces of kale that are floating around, right? That is definitely a low stomach acid
Yeah.
issue.
Also color of poo. So if your poo is like
Mhm.
green and you've had that, don't excuse it to just be, oh, I ate a lot of green food. No, that's a sign of low stomach acid, because if you do a little experiment at home, if you take a salad, if you put vinegar in it, apple cider, white vinegar, whatever you have at home, you'll notice if you leave it on the counter overnight, it'll turn brown.
Brown.
Is
Yeah.
literally oxidation. And that's what should happen in your gut if you
Yeah.
have stomach acid. And if you don't have stomach acid, that is not going to happen. The other thing that you can look at is people often with rosacea. So if you have reddening around your cheeks and nose as well too, this could be a sign also of low stomach acid. So if I was
Yeah.
doing a physical exam, if I would see that on a patient, I would be like, we better look at that. That might be a
Yeah.
sign of low stomach acid.
Also, like after having a meal, like you feel like everything is still sitting there instead of moving along, right? That's another one is burping.
Yes.
When you burp a lot, that's like, and you taste that steak that you just had, you should be
Yeah.
digesting,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, so fix those, and we promise you your hair is gonna look so much more beautiful, and most likely your energy is gonna go up, and skin's gonna look better, and you're gonna sleep better, and all that really good stuff. Malabsorption is no joke, and is, like you said, as we are aging, going into postmenopause, menopause, our stomach acid starts declining. That's why you have a lot of old people with bad breath, right?
Yeah.
It's
Of
like,
course.
and then and you're like, ugh.
Even like dogs, like I remember our dogs as they aged, like their breath smelled
Yeah,
bad, right?
yeah,
I remember
yeah,
Benny and Luna, and I'm like, or Lola, and I'm like, why are they like their breath is so? But it's partly that too, because I think this is a universal aspect to life, is that we just change as we age, and our requirements and necessities are less. But if we're searching for that longevity goal, if we really want to like optimize how we're living on the day to day, well, it's about optimizing and maintaining the health and the wellness that we had even through our 30s, throughout our 40s and 50s, also in 60s and beyond.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so let us know what questions do you have about castor oil, since we have the queen herself here with us today to answer any questions about castor oil. I guess one of my questions is the like, how many times a week would you recommend putting the oil in a hair?
Yeah, so typically it's really just mainly for most people, it's one time a week. I love to make it like my Sunday night ritual, put it in my hair, relax, and then just, wear it for an hour and then take it off, take a shower. And then, usually I unwind, put my castor oil, pack my mask, and I go to bed. That's kind of my Sunday night ritual. Um, Other people, if they have like more severe hair loss or more severe thinning, they're typically recommended to do it more frequently, so 2 times per week. But honestly, a lot of people, castor oil is so strong and moisturizing and nourishing, like for the skin and for the hair and for the scalp, that when it comes to the scalp, you can get away with just one time a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Whether you ship to Canada.
Oh yes, I'm in Canada right now. I'm in Canada, so we absolutely ship to Canada. So take advantage of the link. We absolutely ship to Canada. We're a Canadian company and American, so.
Okay. I'm just posting it here, you guys, so you can grab the link. If you are watching on Instagram, we also have that in our bio link. It's updated there as well, so that you can just grab the 25% up. It's really, I mean, this is as good as Black Friday. It doesn't get
No,
much better
it
than
is.
this.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's great for Christmas presents. I think it's a great routine for people. The big trend right now is the skinification of hair. Like people have gone from like really, really concerned about their skin. Now they're really, really concerned about their hair. And there's just so many products, everything coming out. But castor oil is the ultimate long-term used for centuries. Like Cleopatra was the very, very first influencer, the beauty influencer who used castor oil. And she claimed that her hair was so long and luscious and beautiful and thick, and her skin and her eyes because of castor oil. Right.
Yeah.
And I love that time tested aspect of castor oil because, like you and I said in one of the videos, when it's time tested, you just, they would have got rid of it if they didn't work. Right. And from our friend at that dinner, at that lunch in North Carolina, in Asheville, right? Like she was like, "Oh my God, we've been using it for years." And I remember in my clinical practice too, when I brought up the topic of castor oil, it was amazing the different cultures that already had castor oil as a staple.
And I feel like this is the kind of stuff that, those are the like the time tested things that they work and they've been around for a long time for a reason, because they work, right? And it's like, I generally have this rule. It's like if we use it, like if I'm not sure about something, like even for myself, like an ingredient, or there's this next,
Cool.
green pen that's coming out, whatever is the next, BS trend, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, has this been around for over 100 years? And if the answer is no, I typically don't. I mean, I'm not talking about like, Vitamix or things like that, right? Even that is like, I really wish they could do more than plastic, but
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
but the point is like, do stuff that is time tested, right? And castor oil is just one of them. Just
Yeah.
such
I
a
mean,
beautiful oil.
there's so much of more of a guarantee, right? And I think the cool guarantee is that you're not a lab rat, right? Because all
Mhm.
these other products, so many of them have so many different chemicals, like from phthalates to parabens to like you name it. It's just every time I look at a label, I'm like people may get a temporary symptomatic relief of their hair loss or make it look better for a period of time, but long term, they're actually doing their body more harm, and they're adding toxins into the mix. And I think that's the biggest issue too. Is this is like one simple ingredient that is supportive for your hair function. And young ladies, like for moms who might want to like gift their girls something for Christmas or
Nice. Yeah.
or New Year's or the holidays. Like this is such a great gift, and
Yeah.
yeah, it literally is a Black Friday special.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take a few other questions that just came in on Instagram. Before we go over to Instagram, Rose is asking, is the replay of today? Yes, once we hang up, it's going to be on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. All right, some questions are coming in on Instagram. Capriel is asking, how often do you wash the wrapping thing? You mean
Yeah.
the KKK hood? I have one for abdomen and thyroid also.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so the hair is different where the hair, honestly, the oil, because you're gonna see when I apply it and I do the demo, you're really more applying it to the
You're
scalp.
going to do a demo today?
Yeah. I'll do a
Do you
demo.
want to? Okay,
Yeah,
well, let's do a demo.
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so the hair wrap doesn't need to be washed as much, but if you do want to wash it, like this one probably is every like 3 months, like because you don't also use it as much. So 3 to 4
Yeah.
months. Like you're only doing it once a week versus like your pelvic pack and your thyroid, like people typically do those somewhere between, well, hopefully they're doing it every night, but you know, at minimum somewhere between 3 to 4 times per week. So it depends on your usage, but usually the packs need to be washed somewhere around 2 to 3 months. You would be wanting to wash them. So
Yeah.
depending on usage, and that's regular usage. We do have with the packs, if you're using pelvic or a liver insert, we have really good inserts now, insert pads that will extend the life of your pack and make it so much easier to clean and more economical. So you'll only need to really refill the inserts versus having to get the whole new pack. So, but that's not with the hair pack. That's just with our liver and our pelvic to answer the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mailan is asking, thanks for the excellent information. What's the difference between Jamaican castor oil and others? When do you use Jamaican castor oil? Thanks so much.
This is a great question. And this actually has to do with hair texture and quality.
Mm.
So there, because Black Jamaican castor oil, the difference between it and golden is cold pressed. If it's high quality, extra virgin ideally, right? Like the very first press, so it has the most nutrients. It's literally pressed and then bottled. But black castor oil is actually cooked and burnt. And that's what makes it black. So it's like the chemical reaction
Wow.
of the components of castor oil create basically like an ash or like a charcoal that basically make it black. And that's something too you have to be very careful for dupes and fakes, because a lot of dupes and fakes just will add charcoal to castor oil to do it. And I mean, this is why it's so important to buy from the source and buy from the company's website that's trusted, because it's just crazy what we see out there. Like the people that are
Yeah,
falsifying
I
our
mean, you have all these copycats from China. They even copy your label and all
thing.
of that, and then people get disappointed with the results, sometimes even worse, and then like it falls on you then to clean up the mess.
Yeah, and it's some people will like, it's not even castor oil that they put in the bottle. Like some people have
Wow.
taken their roll on and like totally corrupted it. But yeah, it's just wild. So it's just to be cautious. But I'm sorry, I blanked out. Where were we going with this? I was talking about. Can you
Oh,
remind me? Yeah, just
yeah, you were talking about the Jamaican castor oil
right.
that's
Sorry,
black.
thank you.
Yeah.
So Jamaican is ideal actually for more coarse, curly, and coily hair. So this tends to typically be just darker hair, just more coily, more coarser, because it has to do with just basically the way that the castor oil permeates the scalp and the hair. But golden castor oil is more for people who have thinner, finer, straighter, or just wavy hair. So depending on your hair type, that's when you choose whether you go for golden or you go for black. So it's really based uniquely on you. So that's what I love too about castor oil, is that's uniquely based on your own features.
Okay. So let's move on to the next. I didn't realize you're gonna do the demo, so let's do the
Yeah,
demo on
let's do the
how
demo.
to apply castor oil on your scalp.
Yeah, so it's so easy, guys. One word of caution: if you've ever worked with castor oil is notoriously messy. My entire mission in life is to make it less mess and easier to work with. And so I know all the hacks, and that's why we bottle everything to make it like easier, less mess, because I love castor oil, but I don't love that messy aspect of it. But you need to know that castor oil can also stain things. So you always want to be careful when you're doing things. So I typically either am wearing my bathrobe, but since I'm wearing clothing, I'm going to just use a nice towel and I'm just going to wrap it around myself so that way I don't get castor oil on me. So I basically take my hair and I just pass my fingers through it and I look to see wherever my hair falls. And then I take this fancy dropper. And the secret with castor oil is less is more. So don't go crazy. Don't think you need a whole bottle. This bottle will last you quite a long time when you're using it just for your hair. You're literally at the max going to use 2 droppers at the max. Some people get away with even less. So it really depends on your hair quality, and you've got to learn to work with it. So your first time you might over oil, and then if you over oil when you're washing it, you're going to have to double or triple wash it. Or, you might not use enough and maybe you don't feel enough benefit. So you're going to have to just work with it and try it. And then you'll get your groove, I promise you. And then once you get your groove, it'll be so easy and it'll be like a 2-minute routine that you do. And this is kind of like how it works now for me. So I basically use very little in a dropper, and I just basically take the castor oil and I put it in the areas that are presenting with gaps in my hair or wherever I'm noticing. For women, typically as we age, it's going to be in this front part. This is the most noticeable part where you're going to lose your hair, and also too in the corners here. So all this area. And so see, I've actually only used about, I don't want it to drop. I've only used about a half a dropper the first time. And as I'm going, I'm moving it through my hair. So not only is it permeating my scalp, but it's also permeating my hair. So just like that. And honestly, I have enough because you can feel it. You can feel the oil all throughout your hair. In the back, I don't worry so much because like it's rare that people see the signs of like losing their hair in the back. It's always going to be in the front. And just that has to do with hormones, right? That's where you lose your hair in typically. So now you're going to notice that I'm pretty greased up. And this is good. This is exactly what I want. And then I'm going to take my wrap. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can do it this way, which is probably the easiest way for this demo. So I'm going to do it this way. Or you can flip your head the other way around. But this, of course, has some negative connotations, as we said earlier. But all you do is just take the wrap. You stuff all your hair in there. It's so simple. And you take your wrap. I'm going to take off the towel because I don't need it anymore. And then you twist the back like so. And you literally take the little strap that I have there. See that?
Yeah,
So
the rubber.
yeah, exactly. Goes either on the first or the second, whichever feels better. And it feels like now it feels like a swimmer's cap. Like it feels so tight, so
Right. It's just very fitting. Yeah.
very fitting, and you can see there's like no hair sticking out anywhere. And I would literally just wear this for an hour. You will get hot though, trust me, you will get hot, and you'll see like maybe you won't even be able to tolerate a whole hour, just depending on your own constitution. I'm typically tend to be fine for an hour. I find most people are pretty good for an hour. So again, but you got to do it based on you, because everything in wellness and health is always individualized. So yeah, it's as easy as that. Look at how that took me what, less than a minute or two. It's so
Yeah.
simple. Yeah.
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 Super simple.
Yeah. And then I just, I'll wear this for an hour. I'll go take a shower. I'll probably, I didn't put very much because I'm well aware how much I need for my hair. So I just put less. So try it out.
I also feel like when I wake up in the morning, like a lot of it is actually gone into my scalp, and it's I have to wash it out because my hair tends to get greasy anyway. I have to wash it almost every day.
Yeah.
But I can imagine a lot of people who have drier hair would actually like
Benefit.
be like the scalp
Oh,
is just like
it absorbs it. Yeah. Yeah. And then,
yeah.
and that's what you got to work with. And that's what you got to see. And then you'll notice when you start styling it. I also highly recommend, just being really careful with the way that you're styling your hair, because that's also a contributing factor to hair damage and hair cracking and breaking and thinning. Like if you're over hair drying it or curling it or all those different things, that affects it as well too. And if you are doing a lot of that, you probably want to make sure that you have something like castor oil to support you.
Maylan is saying using a dropper is a game changer. Thanks for the demo. And then we have one question that just came in on Instagram, and it says, does this help with hair thinning and growth?
So again, it's supportive of the scalp, nourishes, hydrates the scalp, and the scalp is where the root lies, and the root is what's able to provide growth of hair. So if you want to have good hair, the key to it is not to look for something that helps grow your hair. The key to it is to support the scalp nourishment and hydration so that the scalp is healthy. Just like a garden, you need your soil to be healthy. It has to have all the minerals, all the nutrients. It has to have all the different things. And this is a way to support that, especially while you're working on underlying root cause factors like we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you
You're
for
welcome.
being with us. And
Yes.
hope you guys this was helpful for you just to get a little bit more appreciation for the health of the scalp and how castor oil can help with the scalp, and then eventually can help with your hair. If your hair loss is caused by other things that we mentioned today, go and figure out, work with somebody to help you uncover what they are. While you are uncovering and doing some investigative medical work, then just this could be your Sunday routine.
Yeah.
Put a little bit of self-nurturing, self-care. If you have the liver pack, put the liver pack on as well. And it's just such a wonderful oil just to work with, and
Yeah. A
easy.
great combo
easy
is
to
the
use.
liver pack with the thyroid and then the hair
Yeah,
mask on your Sunday night, right? Just
yeah.
like nourishing those three vital areas of your body that are so key, energetic centers of your body that are so key in giving you balance in life, right? So, yeah.
Let's just take one most quick question before we. That's a good one. Would you add any black seed oil to your castor oil?
I would not, because, less is more with castor oil. A lot of people are constantly like mixing stuff with it. I'm a purist, and I believe that castor oil can do the majority of what like the other things do. And black seed oil, that's more specifically beneficial in the research for like orally. Like that's something I take orally. It's like beef tallow. Beef tallow people right now are putting all over their skin, and I'm like, I don't remember we were eating beef tallow French fries, and I'm like, this is where beef tallow belongs, not on people's face, because it like beef tallow comes from the kidney fat, like the back of the kidney fat, basically, of the cow. It's really not meant to be put on the face or used cosmetically or in the hair. And black seed oil, it's similar. It's really meant as an oral digestive oil. It's excellent in that place, and that's really where its best places. Yeah,
Yeah.
great question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for being.
I would combine it with rosemary essential oil, because
Ah,
rosemary is excellent, especially when it comes to women with thyroid issues, and many actually other. You can actually look at essential oils and make a recipe for yourself for your hair wrap and mix it with castor oil. Like there's a few ylang ylang, sandalwood. There's quite a few, peppermint, that work. Some will work depending on what's going on with your hair, and that's an easy Google search or an easy chat GPT, like which essential oil, if I'm having this hair problem or that hair problem, combine it with your castor oil, do the scalp the scalp nourishment, that's a game plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Awesome.
All
Great.
right. Well, thanks everyone for being here today with us, and thank you for your questions and participation. And I hope this was helpful. And if you are in for getting the hair pack, 25% off, and that's ending on Sunday, so it's not a in perpetuality.
Yeah.
So take advantage of that now, so that you can get started. All right.
Um,
Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.